ask, boys, there obviously were some. There obviously was towards the end, and I know that you're not happy with the performance, and I respect the fact that you're not deflecting from that, the same as myself and KJ and other United fans did yesterday as well. You know, we called out the crazy refereeing, but still looked at our performance. But in terms of the handball, Tom, from your point of view, this happens. It comes off of his thigh onto his chest, onto his arm in the build-up to a goal. Maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 passes later, it ends up in the back of the net. They bring it back for it. It goes against what looks like multiple laws and protocols within the game. Do you think you were hard done by here to not get that equalizer?
I don't get how they've ruled out that. I mean, the whole thing was a shambles. Watching it live, it was an absolute shambles. So McAllister's got it. Then the handball happens, goes to Trent. Trent plays it in behind. We try to cross it. They clear it. So it's now a separate phase of play, I thought. Once the team plays it, it's a separate phase of play. We get it back with Soboslai. We put the cross in. It's a banked round in the box. There's another like 3-4 seconds in the box. Then it's put in the goal. So you're thinking it's a goal, it's a goal. Then the VAR check's going on. At that point, the ref points to the centre circle to award the goal. And then cancels that somehow. Goes back to the monitor. At this point, we're being told it's for a foul. So I'm going, oh, someone's pushed someone over in the box or something. And then they're just showing the handball. Like, it was a shambles from top to bottom. I don't get why UEFA's laws are so different to all the other leagues in that sense. They're so strict on that thing. Is there no sort of rule for deflection or phase of play? Is it just how far back can they take that?
The rules are the same, right? The rules are the same. Football rules made by FIFA, UEFA, whoever does them, they're all the same. It's for some reason the interpretation seems to differ. Like, I agree 100%. It seems like when they clear it, that becomes a second phase of play. I don't know why that's not the case. Also, wasn't there a thing before, like if it hits a part of your body, but then deflects off that up, then that handball doesn't count. Like, don't get me wrong.
And this is a great point. So Jack, and it doesn't matter that it's Europa and Champions League, it's all UEFA. Jack Grealish against Young Boys 2 weeks ago controls the ball with his right foot, miscontrols it. His arm was already out and up in the air at this sort of level. Miscontrols it, it comes up and bounces on his arm. I thought it was a penalty. And the reason I thought that is because if he hadn't have done that, it would have gone to a player behind him and they were in attacking position. But UEFA came out and basically said no, because it was a deflection onto his arm, so therefore it's accidental. But if you look at the last couple of days in the handballs that have happened, there was 2 conceded in the Man United game. Now, they weren't for deflections, but there was nothing. The arms weren't in weird positions, and there was nothing the player could do because of proximity to get out the way. That makes that an accident because you didn't put your arm towards it. Your one tonight is the same. It's an accident. So I've seen a deflection. You see, Jack Grealish is not given. The 2 last night conceded, and then your one tonight in the end conceded. And the referee was looking straight at him real time and didn't think anything of it. You have got the phases of play, which is crazy. And also the laws are the same, as you said. If there's an accidental handball in the build-up to a goal being scored, and it isn't by the goal scorer, these things have stood. And maybe UEFA looks at that one a little bit different. But as I say, what is and isn't a handball has become so It was easy when I was growing up. It was you deliberately stop the ball with your hand. Now you'll have a player with his hands slightly erased from his body, and the ball the ball gets knocked past him. He can't do anything because he can't get out the way. It hits his hand and it's a penalty. And then it's crazy. I'm at a point where I always don't get it anymore.
The worst thing is if that was a Toulouse player in the box, if that was a Toulouse player in the box, let's say Salah had a shot and then it's been blocked and it's bouncing down, and then Toulouse defenders controlled it on his knee, off his chest, onto his arm, it's not a penalty because it's deflection, it's accidental. But the thing is, we get punished for it attacking wise.
This comment here, once this comment here, it says, Terry, that was an accident on Jack Grealish's arms. Yeah, and everyone told me that I was wrong to think it was a penalty. So what I did is I said, okay, I'm going to be educated by you all. Cool. Then based on that one being an accident, this one can't be ruled out. And this is what I mean by football fans, and I'm not saying you're doing this, Salman, at all, is I'll go, okay, well, if the consensus is saying this isn't handball or this is a foul or this is a red, like last night, most rivals, including many Liverpool fans, said Rashford had to go. Tonight, suddenly, they're not going, Toulouse were robbed because Endo should have been off. No, neither are red cards. What they did is made a mistake last night, and today they made the right decision. And that's the problem that I have. This isn't a handball on McAllister. Jack Grealish's wasn't a handball. In fact, the 2 penalties conceded last night in the Champions League were not handballs. None of these things are handball. They are not deliberate. They are not. They're just a deflection. They're an accident. It's crazy to me. It's crazy the way the game's going. Sorry, Rack, you were going to say something.
Yeah, so, you know what though? Yeah, I ordinarily I may feel a little bit aggrieved by it, but today we did not deserve it. And if anything, if we get a kick up the arse from and the sting that comes with losing this game, rightly or wrongly, and it's easy for me to say this as well because I think in the bigger scheme of things, this game's not going to matter that much. So it's easy for me to come out and say, you know what? We deserve to lose today, and we got what we deserved. So it's fine. Obviously, if this was a final or semi-final, we get knocked out, stakes are much bigger, and it's much more. It stings a lot more. But I'm okay with it because we didn't perform well today. We deserve a kick up the backside. If this gives those players a kick up the backside and switches us on for the next Premier League game and hurts, fine.
They need it. They certainly fucking need this kick up the arse because they've not performed well last 3 games.
I don't think they will. I don't think they will.
They probably won't, but you got to hope they will. We look like a team that needs an international break. And then you think about us, and then you go, but a team that is notoriously crap after an international break, so we're in a lose-lose situation.
Especially 12:30.
It's not City first game back, haven't we? After
12:30.
Like, 12:30 as well. Like, we're in just a lose-lose situation for the next couple of games, people. Like, it's not. From where we started the season, the way we were playing, how quickly a lot of that was evaporating in the last couple of games is concerning. Even the Everton game, we weren't exactly, barking up trees with quality in that one.
Can I ask you a question as Liverpool fans? If this was 3 years ago and you had 2 poor games, and maybe 3 years ago is the season you were really bad, but you get what I mean, in your pomp, if you had 2 bad games like this and rivals were saying, oh, looking a bit sketchy, there was almost universal confidence that we'll be fine. I don't see that confidence in any of you that this team going through a 2-game bad run will definitely 100% against Brentford on Sunday be on it. Am I right in what I'm seeing?
I can answer that question, actually. It's mainly because, for me, we're still in the rebuild. I believe we don't have the complete team that Klopp wants to push on with the league. Now, I believe that if we sort it out in January, get 1 or 2 players, then we can push on to win the league, as I said before. But it's because that we're still in this rebuild. So, for me personally, I've seen a pattern, and I've called out the pattern where we're struggling against teams that come and do a low block and pack out the middle. It's when we're in possession, we're very slow and we're not urgent on the ball. And if they change against Brentford, then we're on the up. But I'm not really. I'm kind of stepping back. I'm being a little bit skeptical about teams that are going to do that against us because we haven't shown that we can be able to break a low block like that this season.
We're just what it was in the season beforehand was that squad had proven to me that they could do it. That squad had proven that they could have 2 poor performances. They would probably win in those games. It was very rare you'd see us have 2 bad performances back to back where you'd lose and draw. We'd snatch a win in one, and it would be the kick up the arse that was required. This squad hasn't proven it yet. This squad is not as good as the one that was playing then. So there's a lot to prove with this squad. This is also a complete different tactical setup that, like, they need to show me that they can do it. Right now, they haven't shown me it. This is the first real chance. This is the first real, setback they've had. Barring last season, which I'm not including, because it was a completely different squad, completely different setup. This year, this is the first real moment where manager and players are a little bit under the cosh, a little bit under a little bit of criticism and pressure. They now need to bounce back in the next game, and they've got the ideal game to stick it to us and make us look like a bunch of knobheads against City at the Etihad. They could rock up there and put in a blinder, which then kicks you on. But they need to do it because right now this squad hasn't proven that to me yet. There's still a lot of questions about players and positions and style in this team.
But Tom,
We are not ready to win a title. Right. We're not ready to win this title, by the way. We're not ready to go toe-to-toe with City, 38 games. We are a team that can be in and around top 3. And should Arsenal and City open the door, there's a chance you could take it. But I still maintain my expectations from the start of the season. You get third in the league, you get yourself back into the Champions League. You've got to win the Europa League. And you've got to win a domestic cup. Club's built on winning stuff. And I'm not doing another season of trophyless. I can't do another season of trophyless.
The problem is, Tom, the reason why I said in the kind of even short term, but when I say short term, I mean next season, the season after, right, the next 2 years, Salah's probably not going to be sticking around after this summer, right? Van Dijk's contract comes to an end the summer after. Maybe he extends for a year or two or whatever, but at that point, he's like 34. Alisson, it wouldn't surprise me if Alisson wants, as his next move, maybe he wants a new challenge. So then you're talking about arguably the 3 biggest rocks, maybe along with Trent, moving on in the next 2 or 3 years, right? Now, it's okay replacing some of those players with, your Diaz's, your Nunez or whatever, but the pillars that team were built on were Mane, Salah, Van Dijk, and Fabinho, you could argue, and Alisson. None of them may be here in 2 years' time. That's what concerns me.
I think the recruitment staff have a hell of a job in the next couple of windows. I think they've got to get it right. Van Dijk is going to be a difficult one to replace. Salah is going to be the hardest one because not a single player in the world that isn't Kylian Mbappe matches that level of output alone. So that's going to be the first real time that the club have had to replace someone in aggregate. So we're going to have to buy 2 or 3 players to try and replace what Mo Salah does. Van Dijk's going to be a tough one because you can trust Ibou Konate to step up and take the pressure that he has.
Konate's not shown that he's anywhere near the Van Dijk level. Darwin Núñez. Interestingly, because of the handball and the disallowed goal, if the shot from, I always say his name wrong, is it Kwanzaa?
Yeah, Kwanzaa.
Yeah, Kwanzaa. If the shot from him goes over or he misses, it'll be Darwin Núñez right now, by the way, getting stick for another air shot from what looked like not an easy finish because you've still got to get it through some players, but you would expect a £70 million top-class striker to be connecting properly and burying that. And the reason I bring him up is because you think about Mo Salah leaving the goals that drop off, who's stepping up? When Van Dijk eventually goes, who's getting anywhere near his level? Alisson's another one. And the reason this comes from a place of experience. To this point, we haven't had at Man United we still haven't replaced Gary Neville. He stopped playing in 2009, 2010. We still haven't replaced Cristiano Ronaldo on the right the first time he left in 2009. We still haven't replaced Vidic or Rio or Patrice Evra in terms of players at their pomp with us. There's so many areas that we haven't replaced, and we haven't got anyone near that standard. And there's been loads available in that time. And I'm not saying Liverpool can't do it, but this isn't a case of, this is where Liverpool fans can't be sentimental, because a lot of the players in your team right now are not of the same standard as the guys that were winning you Premier Leagues and Champions League 4 or 5 years ago. You can't just fall in love with them and say, yeah, they might make it, they might get to the level. If Darwin Núñez by the end of this season isn't looking like an absolute star, you have to think about replacing him, because that's what you do at the elite end. And when I say replacing, not maybe selling him, but going, right, we're going to try and buy another striker who might be better than you. You can't just go up, we'll give him another year, and then we'll give you another year, because you waste time. And at the end of the day, time stands still for no one, especially in football. And this isn't a dig. I'm just looking at it from the point of view where City is so far ahead of their plan. They've always got somebody that's coming in. And even if they don't quite get the player they want, there's a backup option that delivers for them. And I know that there's only a finite amount of top-level players, but I do believe the top clubs in England, with the extra money we have compared to Europe, we should be able to find these talents and be prepared and be ready. And every time one of our clubs talks about FFP being an issue, but yet the owners don't pump any money into the football club of actual investment, whenever they speak about that, or they say, oh, next summer, next time, that should be a red flag to everybody that they're actually just being cheap. They're being cheap, and they're just cutting some little corners here and there to not spend as much money. And in the end, what it does, it means that you're always going to slightly fall short of the teams that operate better. And look, City were the only ones at that level with that money operating that well. But Newcastle were on the way up now, as an example. And if there's two of them that are doing it, it's going to be even harder to compete. So, yeah, there is a big rebuild at your club going on, 100%.
Interesting to see if we do what we've done with Van Dijk, because you lose Van Dijk, you lose Alisson, which I don't think Alisson goes, but Salah and Van Dijk definitely will be in the next couple of years. We made the jump to challenges by breaking protocol almost and spending big on the established, on the practically there sort of level. Are we going to, when we're going to replace Salah, go out and buy a ready-made elite player for 100 million? Or are we going to go out and buy a 60, 70 million pound, 50, 60, 70 million pound player who needs a bit of time to get there? But if you nurture him right and if you grow him right, you can be the next Mo Salah. Are we going to basically? We're going to.
It's about having a mixture, isn't it? It's about having a mixture, because the best teams do both, and this is like, you can't just buy established players in every position, because it's sometimes impossible to do that. There isn't enough money to do that. You have to get a mixture and get that balance between ready to go now and ready in the future, right? But I called this 3 or 4 years ago, and I said, I think what FSG will do is let all the top players leave, but everyone they bring in is one for the future, as opposed to going, we're gonna go and buy. You guys should have gone and bought Harry Kane.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, but obviously, I'm only okay with it if you get that right. Like if we sell Van Dijk next season and we bring in some guy who's 24, 25 years old who maybe was playing at a mediocre club in the south of England somewhere that may resemble Southampton, and all of a sudden he turns out to be the next Van Dijk when people are calling him the Dutch film. Not who was it? What are the Dutch? Chris
Smalling. Yeah. No, mate, I totally agree. If you do it that way around,
if you're going to do that, then you've got to get it right.
I think the only difference from then though to now is back then you knew you had Klopp long term. I wonder now, are you going to be buying these players? So Jurgen Klopp has a contract until 2026. Are you going to be buying these players for Jurgen Klopp to nurture, but then after 2 years he's gone? So then what happens?
Very true.
Of the new manager.
Very true. And when Klopp when you first started buying your squad that made Klopp's team, no one knew City were going to go on and be this good under Pep. No one knew they were going to be this good, this consistent. So the rules of engagement have changed. So therefore, there has to be an adjustment. This is